A warm good evening to all of you from Shimla. I'm Dr. Anita Sharma, the convener of the conference, and we have with us people from Cape Comorin Trust, Dr. Rajin and Dr. Shubhra. So I welcome you both. And who is from Jammu College today? Shubhra, you give me the details. I think convener of the Jammu College must be with us, who is also a co-partner of this, FDP, Faculty Development Program. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the anchor of the day. And we have with us Professor Poonam Chandel, who is from Political Science Department, and she's teaching at Government College Dhami. I think the most sought after teacher and a very loving teacher to all the students. And she is also heading the Rovers and Rangers in the college. So we welcome you, Doctor. Sorry, she's still pursuing her PhD. So Professor Poonam Chandel, and she is going to anchor the
Thank
day.
you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm really very happy to join you all. A very warm welcome to all the participants and all the resource persons of today's FTP program. As ma'am has already told that today we have with us ma'am Bandhe, Dr. Usha Bandhe, with us as a chief guest. So I would like to introduce with you all with ma'am. Ma'am Usha Bandhe has a long experience of 35 years of teaching. She was a faculty lecturer um, uh, of English literature in Government College for Women Shimla and is retired principal from Government College Arki. Ma'am Bandhe, Ma'am Bandhe was till recently she was a fellow of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies Shimla and was also a visiting professor at Vishwa Bharati University, Shantiniketan, West Bengal. Ma'am Bandhe has numerous research papers and more than a dozen of books in her credit. She completed a major UGC project on the Indian short stories in 1998 and has worked recently in the field of women's studies at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla. She is associated with the Institute for Integrated Himalayan Studies, Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla, and has worked on four major projects. She has considerable academic publications, some of which are Writing Resistance, a comparative study of women novelists, ecology and folk tradition in Himachal Pradesh, literature, culture and nature, violence in society, literature and media, cultural space and diasporic writing, women in Indian short story, victim consciousness in Indian English literature, mothers and mother figure in Indian literature. Ma'am Bandhe, we welcome you, and I request Ma'am Bandhe to say a few words to us and enlighten us with her valuable words. So, ma'am, I hand over this virtual platform to you to share your views with us. Thank you, ma'am. Over to
Thank you,
you, ma'am.
Poonam. Thank you very much. Okay, good evening to everybody. Well, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I am delighted to be a part of this program, for which I thank Dr. Anita Sharma and Principal Lalita Chandan. I also appreciate the choice of the subject, ethics in research and teaching. It's quite topical. A need of the hour, I must say. Well, I am not driving or I am not saying that teachers are unethical, but somewhere down the course, we have deviated from the path. Well, teaching is a noble profession. We all agree. All other professions are possible because of teaching fraternity. If we deviate, entire value system would collapse. Well, I am not going to give you all the details about ethics and ethical values. You are here for quite some time and you will have erudite lectures from various teachers who are in the field of philosophy, psychology, and various others. But I shall give you a simple definition of ethics. Ethics means doing the right and moral thing when nobody is looking. Mark my words, nobody is looking. That is the crux of it. It means follow your conscience. What is happening these days? What is the picture of teachers in the society? Many times we hear very derogative remarks, particularly about school teachers. People would say, it is not so now, but some time back I have heard it. अरे ये तो कुछ नहीं, स्वेटर बुनती रहती हैं सारा दिन. Now these are some type of a picture that we have projected of ourselves. As college teachers, university teachers, the picture is a little different. I don't mean a little bunking of the class, but there are further issues. But let me say, we all agree, and let me tell you that we don't have much of scope, and we don't do that, we won't do that, that is like corruption or various other unethical practices. We don't do it. We don't have scope also. Well, when we say nobody is looking, it further means that we have a direct link with our values, personal, moral, social, universal values. Values, ethics, and morality come under the rubric of interactive human relationships. Now, the self is recipient of stimuli to act according to a value system. Self is made of body, mind, and spirit. Aspects of the self are social and emotional. Under social aspects, we can club personal environment, upbringing, qualities, achievements, absence of negatives, likes and dislikes, and habits. These are, social, upward. But emotional are our strength and weaknesses, which come under, according to modern wordings, SWOT analysis. Needs and desires, aims and aspirations, feelings and emotions. These come under emotional aspect of ethics. Now look at one word I will give you, how these things change. Let us say drinking, alcohol, right? If you talk to a person of religion, he will say it is a sin. If there is prohibition in some part, the legal word would be it is illegal. But talk to a person of social science, he will say it is a vice. Drinking is a vice. So now ethics is not something we can just say that this is ethics. It has pervaded an entire value system. Higher values lead to vision. Vision leads to spiritual growth and visionary approach to life situations. Now see, great people have been visionaries. Now, erosion of values, if we see literature, we can see in White Tiger, Arvind Adiga. Now, towards the end of this book, those who have read it, they will appreciate and they will laugh at it. That Balram, who is, of course, a very bad character, because of certain other reasons, we are not going into it. But towards the end, he says, I am going to open a school. Now think of a school run by a person like Balram Halwai. He is himself a very negative character. Great upholders of values in mythology have been Job in the Bible, Raja Harishchandra in our mythology. These are the people who, according to Maslow, are self-actualizing people. And teacher has to be self-actualizing. He or she must have awareness, trust, honesty, integrity. The ultimate aim of human endeavor is to avoid suffering and live happily. This is our ikigai, the Japanese word. What is your passion? Your passion is what you love to do. What is your vocation? Something that you are good at. What is your profession? Something for which you are paid. But what is your mission? What, what the world needs. If we club all the four, passion, vocation, profession, mission, then it leads to ikigai, recognizing our ikigai. It leads to happiness and contentment. And teacher is the one, just a couple of minutes more. Teacher is the one who shows the path. I'll tell you a small story.
Poetry recitation.
Okay? I'll tell you a small story. There was a little club, Tigers Club, cub I mean, who fell in the pen of lambs, sheep and lambs. He thought himself as a lamb and started bleating like them, eating like them. One day, a grown up tiger comes there and he sees this little tiger bleating. And so he feels very bad. He picks up that little cub and takes him to the pond side, and he looks in. The tiger cub also looks in, and the tiger realizes that I am not looking like the lamb. Then this big tiger roars loudly, and suddenly the little cub also started roaring, and he realized that he is not a sheep or lamb to bleat about. And both of them run to the forest. What does it mean? That bigger tiger is the guru, the teacher. He has to show the path. And the purpose of webinars like this is to stop unethical practices like plagiarism or various other, you all know, I'm not going to talk about it. In literature, In the Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, there is always the issue of Marlowe's lie. Whether Marlowe should be lying or not is a great point for discussion. Lots of papers are written on that. I think with this, I stop my word, and I wish you all the best. Have a very good session and very fruitful session, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Usha Bande ma'am. It's always a pleasure listening to you. And especially, I think you have given us the mantra today, that is to do things with passion, vocation, profession, mission. If you combine them, the road leads to happiness. I think this is the basic mantra which we got today from your precious, words which you shared with us. Thank you so much, ma'am. We're really honored to have you with us.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
I give now mic to Poonam. Poonam, please carry forward.
Thank you so much, Bande ma'am, for your inspiring words. Thank you, Anita ma'am. Today, dear friends, today we have with us our first speaker of this second faculty development program, and we are very well versed with the speaker. She is Daniela Lacramira, or in short, I can call her Clara. If I talk about her experience, she has a professional experience. It is a very long list. I would like to, mention few things. She was a national expert for Luxembourg, and she was also a director for Group Marrero Serrel. She was also director Outsourcing Partner Limited from 2003 to 2030. She was lecturer, International Marketing and International Management, University of Cooperative Education. She was Academic Affairs Assistant from 2001 to 2003 at Sacred Heart University. She was also a project manager from 2002 and she was also director of Transylvania towards Sibiu, Romania from 2001 to 2002. She has also published a few books and which are Leadership, Feminine, Grand Duche de Luxembourg, Women Leadership in Luxembourg and Greater Region, 100 Expressions You Need to Master in Luxembourgish, and Our Magic Journey on Earth, a book about kindness, friendship and respect. So I request Ma'am Clara to start with her presentation. Over to you, ma'am.
Welcome, Clara. I was looking to your biographical details. Sorry, CV, curriculum vitae. It's wonderful. At such a young age, you are a great performer. So we welcome you. Please carry on with your discourse. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Even though I look so young, I'm no longer so young. I mean, I'm closer to 50 than I would like to admit. But yeah, that's how life goes. Actually, I'm really very happy to be with you today because I also tried to follow the other 2 days. And it was very enriching to listen to the other presenters. And it was great because the first day started with a more theoretical approach to ethics, to plagiarism, and it continued yesterday a little bit. So what I'm trying to do today is actually because I've been an entrepreneur for more than 20 years, and now I am also doing my PhD in sciences of education. So I have this both the academic part, but mostly the entrepreneurial part. I would like to actually make this session a little bit more interactive that you were used to until today, and try to provoke you a little bit because the topic it's very serious, but also we need to understand how it goes beyond the academic and the publishing part. I've been publishing myself several books and several learning materials because I own in Luxembourg a language school, languages.lu, which I will be using as an example a little bit later today. And so all these publications made me very much aware of the importance of being ethical and giving proper references and quotes when it is due. So I will be using this experience, this entrepreneurial experience. And since you are teachers and educators, it is important to put yourself in the shoes of your students, because not all of them will be later in the teaching or education industry. So you have to understand how we can, when we come from the entrepreneurial side, how can we try to make them understand the complexity and the importance of the topic that your conference is talking about. So I would like to have your help in the next couple of minutes. And the first thing I would like to ask you, so I will give you 3 different points, and I will ask you if it is plagiarism, if it is inspiration, if it is copying, or what do you think? So I would highly appreciate if some of you will try to interact with me, because this will really enrich our session. So the first point that I wanted to bring to you, for example, you all know that yesterday was Earth Day. Of course, there were a lot of posts on social media, a lot of TV shows on the topic. It's a very important topic, and of course, there were a lot of messages sent by people who are influencers in their local communities. Of course, as I'm also involved in politics in Luxembourg, I thought, and it's also something that I strongly, I'm strongly trying to promote, that we take care of the environment, that we have a more sustainable way of living. So I also posted a little message, a short message, because I was very busy following your conference, so I didn't have a lot of time, but still I just wrote a short message on my social media, and it was about the fact that Earth Day should be every day. We should take care of the earth just as we take care of our own body, because we only have one, and we should treat it accordingly with kindness, respect, and care. Afterwards, I was checking a little bit what's going on the social media, and I saw that other people actually posted a similar thing, saying, yeah, Earth Day should be every day, or variations. Earth Day should happen every day. Earth Day should be taking place every day, variations of this same message. So what is, in your opinion, in this case, this message, the fact that Earth Day should be every day, or Earth Day should happen every day? The fact that I wrote it and some other people wrote it, how would you define it in terms of ethical, which is the topic of our session? Who would like to share? So is it plagiarism? Is it influence? What is it? Arun, would you like to?
Yes, good evening, ma'am. So it's the evening time in India. Right. So good evening. Good evening to one and all. This is Varun Menon. I'm a research scholar from Mumbai. So coming to you, Clara, to answer your question, there are two aspects to it. Because I was reading the newspaper, and the main newspaper article was about the Indo-US the conference on the climate summit. And now that we are going back to the year 2015 to discuss about the various implications of the Paris climate deal, since we're talking about the planet Earth per se. That's one. And two, like you said, that Earth Day should be celebrated every day. Absolutely. For the simple reason that we need to take care of sustainable development. Sustainable development is the need of the hour. And that can only be possible if we give due respect to our planet Earth. So,
Yes.
So that one simple statement of yours, that Earth Day should be celebrated every day, I completely vouch for that fact.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. But my question actually was about the fact that this message was written by different people. Does it mean that, I mean, who copied whom? Who, in which post or in which article can we talk about plagiarism, or can we talk about plagiarism at all in this context? Because it's something that appeared in many different articles or posts exactly the same way. So Earth Day should be every day.
True, absolutely. So it's more to do with, I feel, I may be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's more to do with plagiarism.
It's, sorry, I didn't understand.
Yes, it's more to do with plagiarism. Taking your words and putting it in your own words.
Who copied who? Because actually I didn't look at anything, and I just started, it just came to me. I saw different posts saying, oh, today happy Earth Day. And I thought, well, actually, it should be every day, because like you just said, it's not something that we just take care during one day. So it should be something that we do with the utmost respect and every day. So who copied whom, if you are talking about plagiarism? Varun.
There is no perfect answer to this question, because internet has got a lot of people who are unknown to each other. It's a jungle of an anonymous people of different variations. So you never know who has copied whom, to be precise.
Or it can be taken as a universal message. When
Right.
it's a universal message, there is no point of plagiarism. That could be another aspect of looking into the thing.
True. Thank you, Anita ma'am.
Yes.
You're welcome, Varun.
Yes, actually, that's the perfect answer, and it's to what I was trying to get. Thank you, Mrs. Anita Sharma. It's actually, it's nothing copied anybody. I mean, nobody copied anybody. We just all thought that it's such a logical thing to do. So we are inspired by values, by we need to take care of this Earth, of this planet that we only have during our. I mean, okay, we have the other planets, but we cannot really live on it, and actually. Earth is just our planet in a way, so we have to take care of it. So this is a universal message. Nobody copied anybody. So in this specific context, it's more inspiration than anything else. That's why actually my and I will try to see if I can share with you my screen. Yeah, here. Do you now see my screen? Do you see my screen now?
No, ma'am.
Not yet.
Now, do you see my screen?
Not yet, ma'am.
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay, I'll try again. But so I was trying. But what do you see? You see? Okay, no. Sorry. Yeah. Can't share your screen. Okay, can't share your screen because I'm on a MacBook. Okay, but I have sent my my presentation. It's just a few lines. If the organizers from Cap Comoran Trust could be.
Shubhra, just check it out if Regine could share a ma'am's PPT.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. If you could,
Dr. Regine will share
it.
your PPT on our side, and you can carry on with your presentation.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So I will carry on because I only needed that a little bit later. So actually the title of my presentation was The Fine Line Between Research, Inspiration, and Plagiarism. And actually I was starting with a thought-provoking, say, great minds think alike with a question mark. So you do have the situation that great minds think indeed alike, because this is something that we all want. We all believe that no matter if you live in India and I live in Luxembourg, we share the same values, and we want this planet to be sustainable, that we can leave something after we are no longer alive, and to leave something behind for the next generation. So in this first example, it was a universal message and inspiration from generations to generations. I'll give you another example now. I wrote 2 years ago a book for children, which is so the title is Our Journey on Earth, a book about kindness, friendship, and respect. And it had some short stories for children that were 100% related to my personal life, to my childhood, to my life in Luxembourg, in Romania. And in one of the stories, I was talking about a child who was picking up a flower that is a very rare flower. It was kind of like a motivational message for children to start learning that they shouldn't pick up flowers from gardens or leave them there, but in a way that, of course, you cannot teach that. You just say to the child, okay, start picking up flowers. So one has to put it in a nice story for them to relate to, and to want to no longer pick up flowers. So at the end of the story, there was an adult talking to the child, because the tree was this close friend to the flowers, and was very sad that now one of his personal friends, flowers, was dead, was taken away. So the old man, the adult, says to the child, "Oh, you have to learn," among others. I'm just quoting this. "Oh, you have to learn, my son, that nature doesn't belong to us. We belong to nature." And really, this was a story that I wrote in an afternoon when I was feeling very inspired, and I never thought that this small idea was coming from somebody else, because it's really what I thought at the moment I wrote. And a few months later, I was listening to some music, and I had a message. So there were these mixes with Oriental and Indian vibes, and very interesting combinations, and with some sounds in Spanish, in different languages. And this was in Spanish, and it was saying basically almost the same. Nature doesn't belong to us, we belong to nature, or a variation of this. And then I was really thinking, and I started to ask myself, and I would like to have your opinion. So what do you think? Did I somehow copied somebody? Is this plagiarism in a way? Or is it inspiration, or what is it? How should we define this? Who would like to share their opinion on this? Yes, please, Sabia Mufti. Please go ahead.
Good evening,
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. I want to share.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, so we had first the Sabia Mufti. We had Mrs. Sabia Mufti first, who would like to share, and then we can go to Savita Malova. Yes?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm Dr. Sabia Mufti from Kashmir. So, ma'am, I would like to tell you that plagiarism is something different. What we were discussing, as your question is that plagiarism? No, ma'am, that is not. That is simply sharing of the idea. But what in research, we have a different here when we talk about the research, because we are talking about ethics in research. And in research, you have your own work, you have your own idea, you have your own working, because you have worked for that particular project, particular idea. So you do a lot of things, you do a lot of work on that, and another person, because research language is altogether different, and another person, and he will just copy that. That is a plagiarism. But yours, what you said about the idea, what you have, like story or something, that's altogether different. Yeah, that could be same, but if it is related to research, that's altogether different, because research means you are working on a particular subject, you are working on a particular idea. You can take the idea, you can take the reference of that, reference of other people, you can use it in a review of literature, but later on your findings, that could be also, we can say, that could be in alignment with other people also, but at times it could be different. So research work is altogether different. There we can say that it is my work. There is we can say there could be a copyright, or there could be, it's my work. Others could take it for a reference purpose. It's open for a reference purpose, but not, they should not copy it. That's all from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Savia. Dr. or Mrs. Savita, would you like to share your?
Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. My viewpoint is a bit different here, because I am doing research in environmental humanities these days, and I do feel that all these copyright issues, plagiarism, all these are the byproducts of post-individual ideologies. before that, human beings were not following individualism the way they are doing now. For example, this is mine. So all this kind of self-centeredness has entered. I am not saying that people should not protect their work, their intellectual property. I am simply saying that there have been oral traditions in all the cultures. We have medicine systems, we have certain rituals that have come down to us. They were never written, so they used to get transmitted from generation to generation. And it is not true of India, where I belong, but it is true about African civilization, about Spanish, about Australian Aborigines. Everywhere it's true. And the knowledge used to be of everyone's property. It was not protected the way it has been done now. And we need to see the roots, how this Western concept of research it came, and it got rooted in the individualistic ideology, and from there came copyrights, etc. Otherwise, all knowledge was available, and people were given knowledge through storytelling, through narratives, through Guru Shishya, for example, in India. And basically, today's research, it is generating knowledge, and there are copyrights issues also, and there are individual property rights also to the researchers who nurture these kinds of researches. But I do feel that they have come from the individualistic ideologies. All these are products of post enlightenment, and particularly post 18th century worldviews. That's my take on it.
Wonderful, wonderful intervention. Actually, I thank you very much for this, because it's linked to my next point. Because here, as I mentioned, so it's not so much specifically about research, but it's more about ethics and
yeah, because ethics were also there. Don't you think that the knowledge we have, it should go everywhere? If we are really concerned about humanity, we should give knowledge to everyone. So barring someone from the knowledge and saying that this is my copyright, and getting money out of that, these are also certain ethical issues which people should touch upon. And I do think that you will say something about this also.
Ma'am, I have a point. It's not barring from somebody from taking taking the knowledge. It's simply that the person can take it for the reference purpose. It's his or her work. They have every right to safeguard that. They have every right to safeguard that. But it's simply that everybody can take it for reference purpose, and we are taking it also. Knowledge is open. Knowledge is open. We are not confined the knowledge.
I am talking from ideological perspectives, and of course, for example, the day when my book will come out, I will also protect it like you have done. Everyone will do.
Okay, ladies, Savita and Sabia, it's interesting to listen to you. But I think Clara is not talking about the research in a point of view. She's talking in a different way. I think Clara's point is simple, that let's share the knowledge. Let's share the knowledge. That is the only thing she wanted to share. So we'll have discussions later on. Clara, please continue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, both. Actually, so as I said, my title was that there is a very fine line between inspiration and research and plagiarism. So I wanted to link it to all, to different entrepreneurial and different industries, because research happens in environment, but it could be research.
Savita, please mute yourself. Savita, thank you. Yes, sorry, Clara.
I muted her. Yeah. So it happens in different areas. We cannot just. So I understand that most of the participants are coming from a very specific research, but you have to understand. Yes, research background. But so you know, from research, you can go to so many different industries. And actually, we are talking a lot, especially in Europe, because I talk here, you know, on behalf of the University of Luxembourg, and we try to do a lot of partnerships between industry and academia. So we try to link the needs of companies to those of researchers, and try to really work on topics that are interesting for both sides, and that could make that could help make progress in our societies. And in order to do that, one has to understand, a researcher has to understand also where the businesses come from. So what is the context of businesses? I mean, as Dr. Sabia was mentioning, yes, when we talk about research, it's very clear. One has not to copy, even though I was surprised to hear that on the first day of the conference, that in India and some universities it is allowed up to 30% of a thesis to be plagiarism. I didn't know that, and I was a little bit surprised. But of course, we, as Mrs. Savita was mentioning, we are coming from different parts of the world, and we have different cultures. And what's okay for in one culture that you simply, for example, copy a very old recipe that could help millions of people to get better, it's not okay in other parts of the world where actually people are very strict about intellectual property rights. So this is really where I'm coming from. So I'm coming from the entrepreneurship, and I entered research at the University of Luxembourg, and I'm really trying to bring all this business background to you, and to share some very concrete examples. So it's more maybe for those of you who are teaching than those who are 100% only in research. I hope this clarifies a little bit the way that I'm going with my presentation. So you were talking about sharing different recipes, different values, different knowledge is absolutely acceptable in your area of the world. And so when I started to talk about my writing, my book, in which I just had one sentence that afterwards I realized that was also a part of general knowledge, a general inheritance of the world, because we cannot really say who also said this. I just found it that it was also in this song. Somebody said it in almost the same form, but in Spanish. So it's this general inheritance that we share without knowing sometimes, because it's just as Dr. Anita Sharma was also mentioning at the beginning. Yes, it's just universal messages that we try to promote, that our parents educated us with, and this is why certain ideas come to us, but they were not. It was not us 100%. It comes from our education, from our culture, from our different traveling experiences. So all of this make that contribute to the fact that certain ideas might pop up in different parts of the world, maybe in similar moments, or maybe in different moments. When we talk about literature, we don't talk always about plagiarism. We talk a lot about inspiration. And for example, the very kind lady from Cape Comoran, when we started, she told us that today is Shakespeare's Day. And I would like to ask you if you know, if you think, or if you know for sure that Shakespeare actually was copying some other ideas from other writers. Or could we talk about plagiarism in this specific context, or rather the other term that I put in my presentation title, inspiration? And why do you think in certain areas we talk more about inspiration than plagiarism, if it's exactly, I mean, it could be exactly the same ideas? So would anybody like to share if you think that Shakespeare was inspired or if he copied ideas from other writers? Somebody has an idea?
Okay, I think.
Yes, you would like to say something, or I can?
No, I was waiting from some literature, person to jump into the discussions, but
Yes.
I couldn't see any face, But
No,
being
sure.
from the literature background, I can say we can't say Shakespeare has copied the thing. We also can't say that he was inspired by certain things. Actually, whatever he did, that was his livelihood. He never thought he would be a very famous man, after his death. One thing. Secondly, though he had taken, things from the folk tales and all as an inspiration, but he had transcreated that material and has given new place to the world and in a new motivated way. If you go to his tragedies, you go to his historical plays, you go to his, even the comedies, I think they are being transcreated as an inspiration from the folk tales or from the historical, those stories, which were already there present in England or maybe in Latin or in Greek. He had taken those materials. He had read few of the things and he had transcreated and imaginated whole the thing and has given new things to the world. So it's a kind of cocktail, you could say. A lot of wines together and making a cocktail and presenting into the world. So naturally it becomes more interesting and more tastier also than the original single kind of wine. So this is what Shakespeare had done, and that had really inspired later on, I think, whole the class of the people of English literature. This is what I feel.
Thank you so much for sharing your opinion. Actually, there are certain areas of certain industries, certain areas of our lives where we have no problems of using the term inspiration, and very rarely it is used as plagiarism. And if you look, for example, in any biography of Shakespeare, actually it's very clearly mentioned that he was indeed inspired by two main authors, foreign writers, and one is Christopher Marlowe. Already, he was at that time already the most famous playwright in England when Shakespeare only began his career, and the French essayist Michel de Montaigne. So if you look also at other writers, and I was looking personally at Franz Kafka, so you always have a writer who was inspired by other writers, and he inspired other writers. And actually, when you look on Wikipedia, for example, you can see, okay, Franz Kafka, he was inspired by Dostoevsky. He inspired many writers around the world, such as Albert Camus or Gabriel Garcia Marquez in Spain, or in Japan, there is one other writer that very clearly says, I was inspired by Franz Kafka. And this, at any point in time, was not, even though they're really like the way that the stories begin. So it's very similar to the writer that they were inspired by, but we don't use the term plagiarism because indeed, as Mrs. Anita has explained, you take something, you just transform it with your own ideas, with your own understanding of the world, and the cocktail is so much greater. And you don't really, you see some similarities in terms of structure, in terms of maybe topic, it's surrealism, or if it's negativism, existentialism, but of course the the publications are completely valuable and new and original. I see we have a comment here that Shakespeare never copied, but he borrowed the sources and made them live still today. Okay, but what does it mean, borrowing, when we talk about publications? Because this, at the end of the day, it's similar to research. You conduct your research and then you publish. So can you borrow? Okay, you could borrow, but then you have to have the appropriate codes and references. So thank you, Dr. Prakash Patil, for your comment. Very recently, like in 2019, there was a French, very, very known comedian, stand-up comedian, Gad Elmaleh. He's actually from Morocco, so Morocco French, and he was accused of plagiarism. This was a big thing because he's worldwide known and appreciated, and suddenly there was a video on YouTube which was presenting some of his routines, some of his jokes, and in parallel, the same or very similar, like very, very similar jokes that were many years before him, presented by other American stand-up comedians. And there was an entire, in Europe, so in different countries, there was this very deep discussion about ethical behavior when writing different routines and different jokes. I mean, where is the line? We come back again to the title of my presentation. Where is the line, the fine line between inspiration and plagiarism? And in this case, it took many months before he actually admitted that indeed he was inspired. So he continues to say that he was inspired, but actually if you take the different jokes that he's using, the different routines are maybe 90% the same. I mean, the topic is the same. For example, you have a blonde person. He was really playing on the differences between different people from different parts of the world, like blonde versus a more dark skin, so exactly the same topic, the same story. It ends, it starts and it ends the same way. You play on the same elements of cultural diversity and differences. And so, is this still inspiration? Where's the line between inspiration and plagiarism? Again, so this is really the main topic of my presentation. There is a very, very fine line, and especially in arts, this is very difficult. It's very difficult indeed to say this is inspiration. This, somebody has just borrowed a few elements, a few words, a few jokes, and actually, no, this person has completely copied. So especially in art, we cannot say that one cannot copy. It's just impossible. And I would like to give you one quote of Mark Twain. It's very provocative, but please listen carefully. So, there is no such thing as a new idea. It is impossible. We simply take old ideas and put them into a mental kaleidoscope. We give them a turn and they make new and curious combinations. We keep on turning and making new combinations indefinitely, but they are the same old pieces of colored glass that have been in use through all the ages. So, okay, how do we teach children and teenagers in school that actually it's okay to borrow ideas and concepts, and you just turn them around and you create new combinations indefinitely? So it's a very complex topic, and I'm really happy that you're approaching it during one entire week, because there is just not one angle of it. We saw different angles yesterday and before yesterday. Today we're seeing a different angle, and I'm kindly asking you to be open-minded, because even if it's not directly linked to research and to research publication, it's linked to what's around us. And from all these combinations and these kaleidoscopes between different areas of expertise, different areas of working, we can create new things, that we could really come up with innovations. So in this context, maybe it would be good to remind a little bit what is the difference between plagiarism and inspiration. So plagiarism is the process of borrowing the thoughts and ideas of others and pretending them to be your own. And it's okay to quote other sources if you show the reference of the quote. If there are any similar thoughts or topics similar to the works of others, you should certainly indicate the reference. What is inspiration, on the other hand? We have seen certain examples. Inspiration is a sudden, creative, clever idea which is inspired by another person, event, work, or thought. In some way, it's a driving force which inspires you moving ahead. You are inspired to collect different facts to complete your research. However, these ideas should have evidence in research, and be proved during the research. It's not illegal to write something if you are inspired by the work of another author. At the same time, one should understand that creating your own work would never happen in a vacuum. Everything which exists have already been said or invented. So no matter what you create, it would always be based on the works of other people. You just only get inspired by that. How to distinguish now between inspiration and copying? If you find some information and simply add it to your paper, then it's clearly considered to be plagiarism. If you find something and start doing the research into it, reason about the topic, you consider the sources, you check its logic, then one can see very clearly that you are inspired. So this is the fine line between inspiration and plagiarism. And as I said, it's important to keep in mind that when coming from the entrepreneurial world, we have a different way of looking at outcomes, and a different way also at looking at intellectual property, which is important, especially when you're working in international projects. I don't know if we can see now the presentation, because I wanted to show now the reverse side. So now we saw some examples of when it happened, and it was okay to be inspired. It was okay for other people to just take some elements and use them and recreate a new universe and a new kaleidoscope, a new cocktail. But now I wanted to share with you some examples when specifically in some areas of my work, my entire, most of the work has been stolen, and so it was unethical behavior. So I wanted to show you that this is happening, and it's happening also in nowadays, and it's happening when you're creating. Of course, when you're creating a lot and publishing different things and coming up with new concepts, there is a high risk that those concepts or ideas or publications can be stolen from you and used in different parts of the world or in different countries. Sometimes it's just the neighboring country, sometimes it's even in the same country, and it could be used in an unethical way. So the lady from Cape
Clara, I think there is some technical problem. Your PPT is not opening up. Dr. Regina is
Okay.
trying for the past 10 minutes, but it's not somehow possible. So
Ma'am, if
sorry.
you can try yourself once again.
Well, I'm on a MacBook, so it's not the same. The same. Okay. Your entire.
Otherwise, we will share that later in the group.
Yes. Let me just try to see. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't allow me to share it with you. It doesn't allow me. Let's just see if it's just a window. Maybe this one. No, can't share. Can't share your screen. Okay. No worries.
It's
So
our
yeah.
bad luck, you know, that we are not able to see your presentation. We'll have it later on in the group. I will share
Yes.
it there. Or
It's
you can
actually-
email it later on again, then we'll share it definitely in the group.
Yes, it's a pity because it had a lot of visuals, which
Yeah,
makes
that's what we want to see actually. But
yes. But it's a pity that you cannot see it. Yeah, so I wanted to share 3 case studies. So case study number 1 about language learning materials that I've created, and as very shortly in the introduction, it was mentioned that I published. Indeed, I published 3 different books and 7 different learning materials that are used to learn Luxembourgish, which is a language, by the way. It's a language, a combination between French and German, but it's a very new language, which was officially defined as a language. Before it was considered just a dialect of the German language. So it's just about 20 years since this language has been properly promoted, and therefore there was no dictionary. I mean, I came into to this country in '98, and already in 2010, I could say that they didn't have, in 2010, they didn't have an official grammar for their official language. But we also have 2 other official languages, which maybe explains why there was not such a huge promotion and such a huge support given to their mother tongue, which is Luxembourgish. So this is interesting mostly for people who are language teachers, because I've been having my language school in Luxembourg. You could have a look on languages.lu. So it's a very active, and we provide language courses, especially tailor-made courses in companies, but also language camps for children starting at 5 or 6 years old until 18. So in this context, I've been creating a lot of materials because I come with this background as a teacher myself, but I'm also having an MBA in marketing and international business. So I was using this 2 different specialities and different areas of expertise to actually help learners to learn Luxembourgish in a more playful and in a not innovative way. And before I started to publish these different materials, I had a collaboration with the American Chamber of Commerce in Luxembourg. So maybe you know the American Chamber of Commerce. It's a worldwide organization. So it's basically a representative of the business, the American business in different countries, and it's a chamber of commerce. So because I was so active, and I was also in the board of this chamber, as well as in the board of the British Chamber of Commerce in Luxembourg, I was proposed to develop a language guide, which was actually using different languages, such as Portuguese, because in Luxembourg, the biggest community after Luxembourgers are Portuguese people. And so it was in French, Portuguese, and Luxembourgish, and English. So these 4 languages, with the main sentences, main words that one has to start learning, and it was really covering the A1 level. Maybe you know this is how we defined so this is one of the European levels. This is in our European Common Framework for Languages, what we use for the very first level in a language learning. And so we had this was in 2007. We had a memorandum of understanding between Languages.lu and between the American Chamber of Commerce. Actually, you have in the presentation that I prepared for you some of the the articles that we actually introduced, saying that I was giving rights of my over this guide to the American Chamber of Commerce, who was able to use it on their own website, but always by using the 2 logos of Languages.lu and of AmCham. Okay, everything was good. The welcome by the community was great, because there was no such a tool for newcomers in Luxembourgish. So everybody was very happy. So for a few years, everything was fine. Then in 2015, the guide is published again by the American Chamber of Commerce with an extra language. And this time they mentioned that this is done in collaboration with a different language school, which is from Germany. And our logo was no longer on the document, but everything, all the work done was actually what we have been prepared and what we have been published in 2007. So you imagine my shock when seeing this document, which I spent many hours developing, that suddenly has a different logo on it, and saying that this is actually the work of AmCham, but with a different language school. It's very interesting, because one cannot expect such an unethical behavior at that level. And so I contacted the American Chamber of Commerce, and I asked, well, what's happening? How is this possible that the document that we, the guide that we have been developed in 2007 now is presented as being the work of somebody else? Oh, they just reacted like, oh, we don't remember. Do you still have the memorandum of understanding? Of course, I found it, but in a paper format. I didn't have the digital format anymore, or the document that we have prepared exactly to show that, okay, this is 100% the work. So nothing happened until 2018. The content is again enriched with Arabic and Persian. So the main content was the same, but there were two extra languages added to the guide. And again, the guide was presented as being the work of a new language school, not even the second after us, but a new language school with AmCham. So this is okay. So we are laughing now because we are trying to understand how is this possible. It's so shocking that we cannot even we don't even know how to react to such an unethical behavior. And of course, it's okay when it's for the wider good, it's for really to support the international community, but then it's how do you give value to the work of the people who are involved in the first place in the project? I had some people in my team and myself. We spent a lot of hours developing this guide. So how would you define this? Would you still define it as just inspiration, or is it 100% plagiarism? What do you think? Do you have an opinion? Would anybody want to say or make a comment? If not, I will just continue. So as I said, this was one of the most shocking experiences, but it didn't stop. It didn't stop there. So it continued when. For example, the name. So we just take the name, the brand name, because when you register a new brand name, be it for a company, be it for a project, be it for a website, you usually have to do a research. But the research is not just yourself on Google, but you have to go actually to the register, the Chamber of Commerce in your own country to see if that brand name is available. So languages.lu, it's a very easy way of understanding that this is something to do. It definitely has something to do with languages. And actually, we cover not just language courses, but also translation, voiceover, and a lot of other services related, and of course, translation and interpreting for conferences. So it was very easy, and of course, it was very appealing for many people that this is such a good name for a company or for a language school that many people wanted to use it. So. So we had the experience that there were two different newcomers in the country who created something very similar, which was mylanguage.lu and language.lu. So and this didn't stop there, but actually when I first created the company, I created it in the UK in 2003. And in UK, we have different ways of referring to a limited company. So we have LTD, while in Luxembourg we use SARL to actually refer to the same. So it's a limited company, but just the terminology is used differently. So after this newcomer, which used the name mylanguage.lu, we found out that even the website was completely copied. So it was plagiarism 100%. And even though it was a Luxembourgish company, 100%, so there was no connection to the UK, where I started my company, they didn't know what that meant, LTD. So they actually copied and they wrote mylanguage.lu LTD, just because they saw that on our website was written languages.lu LTD, and they thought it's something very fancy. Okay, maybe just copy that as well. So it's just to say that this happens a lot in the business world. So things that we think are very, very straight and plagiarism should not happen, and one should not simply copy, a description of your methodology or a description of your school, of your projects, it actually happens, and it happens probably everywhere in the world. And sometimes one doesn't have a lot of legal means to take action.
Excuse me, Clara, can we have some observations and questions also? Because second speaker is also waiting.
Yes, of course.
Please wind up, so we'll have
We are
questions.
running short of time, yes.
Yeah, so who would like to ask a question, please?
Let us check in the message box. I think Ma'am Anita, I would like.
There are few observations. People were actually talking about, Shakespeare, which you have already, read. And Sonia has written wonderfully, what you told us about Mark Twain. I think this is what almost she has written, that there had never been anything like original idea Ideation never remained confined within geographical, cultural, and national boundaries. Many great thinkers from across the world must have worked on the same idea at the same time. It's just that someone from among them must have outpaced others in documenting and finally presenting his or her idea to the world. I think this is almost a similar thing which you were talking about, Mark Twain. Even there is one another observation on Shakespeare. This is by S.V. Rishikesh. He says, today discussion on Shakespeare is very apt because it's the remembrance of Shakespeare, because it's a Shakespeare day also. It's really wonderful that you brought him into our discussions. Vikas also wants to say something. He says, in my view, everything that comes under common knowledge purview cannot be considered as plagiarism, which you were talking towards the end of your discourse. So ideas become a matter of common conversations after a certain time, and such ideas, if taken into writing, cannot be supposed to be plagiarized as they are present among common masses. I think this is the crux of the presentation, which you have already had been, sharing for the past, 1.5 hour. It's wonderful hearing to you, Clara. So if any one of you would like to ask any question to ma'am, you are welcome. Please unmute yourself and you can ask the question if there is any other question. Someone was also talking about, I think, intertextuality and contextuality over here. When they say, when you were trying to define, plagiarism, some people say it's a type, it's a kind of contextual, it's a kind of contextuality which we do in our, creations, or maybe presenting new ideas, or maybe presenting new books. So even that could also be looked into through your presentation. So what would you say about that? Contextuality and intertextuality. These two terms often confuse people with plagiarism. So what's your take on that, ma'am?
Well, it's a very complex question, of course, to answer now in in 30 seconds, just before actually we leave the space to the other person. But what I really wanted to say is that I wanted this to be a discussion that is thought-provoking, because all this different terminology. I mean, when we talk about the definitions, it seems so simple, but actually when I gave you so many different examples, when it's not so 100% okay, it's plagiarism, or it's just the way I'm in a certain context and I grow up with that, and then it's part of my inheritage, a cultural inheritage. So I think everybody is now has more food for thought, and this can continue. We're discussing it among the different participants.
It's a debatable thing.
Exactly, it's a debatable thing, and actually, this was my purpose, to really make them think that it's not so black and white, and there is a very, very fine line between inspiration and plagiarism. But of course, in research, it's very clear, and one has to stick to giving reference and quotes. But as educators and strategists, of course, we have to lead by example, and we have to give different examples to our students, because only this way they become aware of the complexity of the topic, and they can have a proper attitude towards ethics.
Thank you so much, Clara. It was really wonderful listening to you. I think so many compliments are there in the chat box. If you could read them.